low around 62. Keep it here on Oak 93.5. I'm nowcast meteorologist Jim Vaughn.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned into Chat City with P. Ross. Conversations and interviews are in the queue. Listen or join in. Here she is, P. Ross.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Chat City with P. Ross. I am your host, P. Ross, and I am delighted to have here with me today Dr. Aisha Jackson of True Horizons Inc. and Miss Anita Hayes, over-the-road truck driver, lady truck driver. Ladies, welcome to Chat City today.
Welcome.
All right. Thank you for coming in. We're going to start with Anita first. According to Migway, as of 2020, women constituted 7.8% of truck drivers in the United States. That number has increased some to 15% recently. Mm-hmm. So, my question to you, Anita, when someone hear of a female truck driver, what response do you get?
When they hear about me as a general driving a truck,
yes,
or just women in general?
Women in general, and then we'll get to you.
They think it's exciting, it's fulfilling. A lot of them say that they've always wanted to do it. It's an adventure. How could I do it? It's kind of a man's job. Mm-hmm. What made me decide to do it, in a sense. But the overall, I think, for me, it's been positive.
Positive.
Yeah, I don't have any negative. A lot of people have rooted me on from the very beginning. But it's been an enjoyable experience.
Okay. Yeah, because nowadays when you hear of a truck driver, you think of somebody, now at least I do, I'm going to speak for me.
Okay.
You hear somebody, you think of somebody with burly muscles, a beard, you don't really see too many women truck drivers, or you don't hear very many women truck drivers. So I'm glad it's just the opposite of you. You're very feminine, very beautiful, and you're in there. All right. Yeah, you get a hand clap for that. My house applause is not working today. I usually give a hand clap, but, all right. But let's go back to your education. You are a graduate of A&T University. Mm-hmm. You graduated from Forsyth Tech, and you spent most of your career in finance for large corporations.
I did.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so when did this adjustment come for you?
I think during the COVID pandemic, it gave a lot of people a chance to kind of reevaluate where they are in their lives as far as careers were concerned. Mm-hmm. My thing was I had been in the office so long and dealing with the same things over and over again. It became kind of mundane to me. Uh-huh. So I tried to figure out a career path that I still had to work, but I wanted to incorporate travel or seeing new things. Mm-hmm. And I needed to pay a certain amount. Let's not get it twisted. I need the money. Uh-huh. But it gave me a chance to actually fulfill a life passion of just being able to travel and move around the country.
Okay.
So
now there's an interesting story about when you decided to leave the career path you had been on for some time. Mm-hmm. You and a few friends discussed this. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was a few of us. It's actually 5 of us.
Okay.
Maybe 6. But anyway, during the COVID pandemic, everybody was shut down, but we were all ladies that lived by ourselves. Uh-huh. And we all came to a point in our lives that, either our husbands had passed away or we wasn't married, or we're just not in a relationship, but we had grown children, and we were left at home. Or a lot of us have aging parents as well. So we were all sitting, in the same parts of our life. All of us had different journeys that we had been on, and we all came together during the pandemic, and we would discuss ideas of what we wanted to do next, what of our passions. And me and Sharonda had talked about doing career, because he said IT or transportation was the main jobs right now, and nobody wants to go back to school. So, so the thing was, we said, well, why don't we try truck driving? And so it seemed good to me because I like to drive, but we thought we really took it for granted that it was just driving, but it was really so much more. It was kind of like going through boot camp. And we found a company that would pay for truck driving school. We just had to give them 6 months.
Okay.
So
you and your buddy Sharonda, who is also a friend of mine, I would like to add. All right. So you guys get in. I mean, you just tell your careers. Or you tell your people, okay, we're trying something different now. So long. And you get in your car. What was the thought? What was some of the conversation that you guys had, or you girls had, on the way to Tennessee to truck driving school?
Well, actually, Sharonda left a week before I did. So we both went in the wintertime, going through the mountains in a car. You know, that in itself was something different. We said, do we really want to do this? You know, but it was a chance for us to get away from our actual lives and just focus on us. To me, it was a mental health thing. I got there and being outside, and you don't need to really know about mechanics of the car, but you do in a little bit. You do. So it was a lot of stuff that we had to learn in a short amount of time. But it was kind of liberating. It's like doing field day every day. So we was up at 6 a.m. and we left at 6 p.m. every day.
Wow.
So, and we went in dead winter. We was rained on. The wind. I mean, we was, snow, sleet. So we went through all of that, and it actually tested our wheels. It did.
Okay, so I know when you arrived there, or I could imagine that there were men around, and I'm sure gazing, because both of you are beautiful at first. But did you get any frowns? Like, why are these women here? Did you ever get that feeling?
Well,
from
the thing
anybody?
was, we was in Tennessee. That first, I had this mindset. I said, "Oh Lord, what are we getting into? Are they going to receive us well? Women of color, But honestly, Pauline, we was treated the best, I think. Very supportive. I can't say the things that I had thought in my mind to be the worst actually never came to be. The people of Knoxville was very, very kind to us, with a lot of resources, and they gave me one-on-one attention. And I think they really wanted you to succeed.
Okay, good. What was the name of the training school that you went to?
I went to Tennessee Trucking.
Trucking. Okay. Now, you mentioned mechanics. Tell us more about the training structure there.
Well, we had to learn the parts of the semi or the tractor. We do the pre-trip and post-trip. We had to know everything from what the brakes look like to coolant to fans, belts, Carter pins, all everything you can think of. We had to know the parts of it. That's part of our CDL test, was to know the parts of the tractor from the beginning to the end, all the way to the trailer.
Wow, that's exciting but scary at the same time.
It was very. I had anxiety, but I think for us that was the easiest part, because that's kind of like memory recall. Now the other things, the maneuvers, was what got me. So how to maneuver this 53-foot trailer, and everything that was right is really left, and everything is left is really right. Because this vehicle bends. So we talking about all kind of formulas that I never thought I would use or see again. So the part of memorizing was fine as far as, the mechanics of it, but the maneuvers was what really, kind of stumped a lot of people.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the maneuvers in detail?
Yeah, we had to learn what they call, first of all, to back it up was extremely, you think to back up a vehicle would be easy, but it's really not. The straight line back, then we had to do something called an offset, is to move that trailer forward and then put it in the next lane next to it. And then we had to do what they call a 90, take it out and maneuver it in a 90-degree angle into a parking space. So all of those maneuvers, and not touch a cone, and be in the center where your mirrors are not touching or on the line. And you had a box that you could not, go over. So it's a lot of different things, and you have to understand that you cannot see down that right side. That's your blind side. So it was the maneuvers was the most challenging.
Now, one of the things I read was the reason why there aren't many women truck drivers in this field is because those trucks, the box part, the front part of it, is designed for large men.
It is.
And it's challenging for women sometimes. I guess especially if you're a little shorter than what the average height of a man would be.
I'm the shorter of the average woman,
Oh,
so
really?
I'm only 5'3".
Yeah,
And it's
so-
funny that I was on my CDL test. I basically hung out the window and backed my truck up on my toes. I wasn't even sitting in the seat. So, yeah, it's not made for petite women, you know. So,
Okay.
but I will say it's roomy. If you have to live in it, you probably want to be small, you know, because if you're too big, it's gonna really look small in there. So, yeah, it was challenging, but it's not durable.
Okay. All right. Now, the classes. How long were the classes, Anita?
Well, it started out for us as 3 weeks, but during the time that we were there, the laws were changing. So now truck driving school is now average of 7 weeks.
7 weeks.
When before I went there, I had already obtained my CDL permit. Now, in order to obtain your CDL permit, you have to be already enrolled in a school. So I just went and got the book and looked at it. Like I said, that part, the memory recall was pretty good. But as far as, you know, the maneuvers and everything, that's a little challenging. So when we first started, it was supposed to have been 3 weeks, but now it's at 7.
7 weeks.
And
Wow.
plus, they dropped the age down.
Okay. And what is the age now?
You can become a truck driver at 18,
Okay. What was it before?
21.
21. Okay. All right. Now, for someone who may be interested in truck driving school at this time, can we talk about cost a little bit? And are there any scholarships or any funding out there for anyone to look into?
Yeah. If you are like currently employed, I think they do have a program through the unemployment that they will help you know, with resources to be able to pay for the truck driving school if you want to change your career. They also have different companies that will sponsor you. Once you obtain, you know, you go through the school, they will pay for it once you complete it, successfully complete it, I should say. But if you just want to do it, I think from beginning to the end, you're probably looking at about $10,000.
Okay. All right. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross. I am your host, P. Ross, and I am delighted to have here in the building with me today Miss Anita Hayes, an over-the-road lady truck driver, and Dr. Aisha Jackson of True Horizons, Inc. All right, and we've been chatting with Anita on her truck driving career. Applying for your first job after you have passed truck driving school. What did you have to do, Anita, with your either, I guess, electronic application or paper application? How was that process?
Well, for me,
you?
I didn't go that path. I went with a company that would actually, number 1A, sponsor me at the school. And the second part of that piece was they already hired me once I got my CDL.
Oh, wow.
So I have to fulfill the 6 months obligation with them. Then my school will be paid for. In the process, I will be gaining that experience because the company I do work for, they do extensive training. They have the 240 hours, and you have to ride with someone. So you're talking about months before you actually are considered to go over the road by yourself, which I am now over the road by myself.
All right. That deserves a hand clap. And as I said, oh, wait a minute. House of Applause is back on. Okay. Awesome. So now the person that you trained with, was that easy? I mean, was he or she, was it
Actually,
a male or female?
it was a female that had
Oh,
been
really?
working for 10 years. Her name is Lachey Lockheed.
Okay. Shout out to Lachey
Yeah,
Lockheed.
she was very instrumental. She has a wealth of information. Again, she's been doing it for 10 years. So you ride with your trainer for like 6 weeks, approximately. It could be longer. Just depends on what the situation is. But she tries to give you the overview of it. So you not only will you be driving, she's going to have you doing some of the, or he will have you, excuse me, some of the things that they do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. Now, how long how long do you have before it's determined that you're a solo driver? I mean, is it immediately after you finish school, or you?
No.
Okay.
The company I'm with, once you go do the training for the 6 weeks approximately, then they have you to come back. We go back to Dallas. That's where I'm headquartered. And then we do what we call a grad class. And from that point, they send you through a road test. They send you through extra training of different laws and policies and stuff for different states and, procedures for the company. And then they go to truck assignment. And then they'll put you on the road. But you have to go through their own little obstacle course as well in order for them to feel that you're deemed safe to be out there.
Okay, and tell us what it was like for you as a solo when that moment you went out on the road by yourself.
It was scary. It was scary. It was exciting and it was scary. Because when you have someone in there with you, then you can kind of feel things through. But when it's by excuse me, when it's by yourself, excuse me. When you're by yourself, you're constantly having to think of everything. It's nothing to chance because this is a dangerous job. You have to look out for yourself. You have to look out for others. You have to technically get yourself under control and know in these situations because you want to come back home every night. So, yeah, it was very scary. And plus, this is my home. I have to sleep in this truck, too. So you have to find parking that you feel that's deemed safe. You have to manage your time to make sure you can get somewhere and park safe. You just don't want to be on the side of the road somewhere. So, but it was very different. It's out of my, a lot of people didn't think I could do it because I am kind of, in a sense, the word bougie was on my, that I was too bougie to do it. But no, it's not. I can kind of deal with any kind of situation, know. So, it was, like I said, it was challenging, but at the same time, I got through it.
Okay. Do you have any children?
I do. I have one. His name is Chase Ross, and he goes to East Carolina.
Okay. How does he feel about mom on the road alone?
He's been very, very supportive. He's one of my biggest cheerleaders. I talk to him, a couple of times a week. And he was seeing how I was going about it. I think that his roommate's mom was actually a truck driver as well. And he was seeing because he's 23, so he's looking at anything that can possibly make him some money, right? So he was saying that maybe, he may try it. So I told him once I get my foot in the door, he can definitely ride with me to see if he would like it. Because it is good, honest work. It is dangerous, but then everyday life is dangerous nowadays. So, I don't push it on him, but if he would like to, by all means, he can. So he's like I said, he's been my biggest cheerleader.
Awesome. Now, what is the longest time you've been away from home thus far?
Well, in this last year, I've probably been home 4 or 5 times. So I think I left in January, and basically this is probably the 5th time. Now that I think about it, it's about the 5th time I've been home. So I've been gone for weeks on end. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've seen some very gorgeous pictures you've produced on your travel journeys while you're working. And they are really, really nice. It seems that you've been to a lot of nice places across the United States. What's the furthest distance you've gone?
I'm into California all the way across.
Okay.
In fact, I think I've been across the country like 3 times. And as far as north, I've been to Nebraska on the northeast side and down Louisiana, and of course Texas. But this country is beautiful. Just to see the landscape change as you go across is amazing. You realize where you're from, you kind of take it for granted. Like on the west side, it is dry. It's rain is something that we see a lot, but there they don't. But the landscaping is so beautiful, the rocks and stuff. But here, like I said, we take for granted that we have beautiful flowers and lush green trees and stuff where they got cacti and sand, but it's still gorgeous. And it is amazing how the landscape changes.
Wow. What do you do in between stops?
Probably sleep. I for me personally, I like to kind of explore. So, I like to get somewhere where it's still daylight outside. And then too, going across country, we have to deal with time zones. So if I'm too far out, I'm kind of messed up with the time. But just trying to figure things out as what I want to do and incorporate little fun things, activities between jobs. That's what I try to do. That's not always workable though.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, tell us about your cargo or what you have to transport at times. Is it the same type of shipment or
it could be
anything?
Anything that can be cold or dry. I do drive a reefer truck, a refrigerated trailer, if you will. So it can be anything from produce to candles, or it can be anything. So.
All right. Do you have to unload?
No.
Or you have people that come in and
No, I do no touch freight.
Now tell us. I do believe, if I remember correctly, there is a shortage of Class A drivers. Is that correct? Tell us.
I heard that, but what I seen, a lot of people, the company I work for, I think they get 100 students a week, approximately. So, they're trying to fulfill that void. I don't know exactly how much of a shortage they have, but from what I've seen, it looks like a lot of people are trying to, cut into that industry.
Now, some time ago, I've had the opportunity to ride in a truck with a friend. That was years ago. So I got to see, I think we stayed on the road for about a week. And it was interesting. And like you said, the countryside is beautiful. And not only that, I had the opportunity to work briefly for a truck driving staffing company.
Okay.
And at that time, we were trying to find Class A drivers. And again, that was some time ago. So that's why, I mentioned that. For somebody who may be interested now in driving a truck, tell us about the different classifications, I guess.
Well, they have, you start off with your Class A, but when you trying for your Class A, you actually can get a Class B, and the Class B is just that you can drive anything that doesn't bend. The Class A is just, you can drive, anything from the tractor trailer that bends to tanker and go on, so forth. But then those other endorsements like tanker, doubles, triples, those are added endorsements, which that should, add more to your income.
Now, when you say bend, describe that for us a little bit.
So
more
the tractor is, and there's two parts: is a tractor and a trailer. So what bends is that trailer sits on what they call a fifth wheel, and that's what bends. A straight truck, like a tour bus, that's just a long, bus. But anything that doesn't bend, that's what a Class B can drive. And Class A is anything that bends with that fifth wheel.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting. Very interesting. All right. Thank you, Anita, for that information. If you were just tuning in, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross. I am your host, P. Ross, and we've been talking to Miss Anita Hayes. She is a over-the-road female truck driver, and we think that's special. At least I do. And we also have Dr. Aisha Jackson, therapist, and she is the spearhead of True Horizons, Inc. And she's going to tell us a little bit more about, or she's going to tell us about True Horizons. I'm just curious, Aisha, do you have anything you want to ask Anita?
Well, first of all, I want to say that's very courageous. Very courageous. I'm terrified of driving. I don't think I drive nothing more than a 15-passenger van. I'm just gonna be honest. I tried bus driving back in the day, but I applaud you. That is courageous.
We applaud you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Dr. Aisha Jackson was born in New York, raised in Southern Pines, North Carolina. She has a master's level master's level accreditation of social work with expertise in mental health, child development, and strength. Excuse me, let me see. That's child development and strength cognitive behavior. Is that right, Dr. Jackson?
Yes,
Did I get that
cognitive behavior therapy.
therapy? Okay. And you also earned your BA from St. Andrew's Presbyterian College.
Yes.
And you're a graduate of UNC Chapel Hill
Yes.
with a MSW degree in social work. Let me give you a house applause on that. Dr. Jackson has also earned a doctorate in ministry in biblical counseling from Andersonville Theology Seminary. Is that correct?
That's correct.
In what city is that in?
That is in Camellia, Georgia.
Camellia, Georgia. Excuse me, I can't talk. All right. Now, thank you for coming in today and spending time here with us, Dr.
Thank
Jackson.
you.
She is the spearhead, like I said, of True Horizons, Inc. Tell us what True Horizons is.
True Horizons is a community-based 5013C nonprofit. We specialize in equipping young women to reach their true potential. That is our mission statement, to help young women reach their true potential and purpose. And how we do that is through empowerment, education, and entrepreneurship.
Okay. And through all that schooling, was you thinking about True Horizons at that point in time, or where did True Horizons birth for you? At what time in your life?
Actually, True Horizons has always been something that I did. It just didn't have a name to it. I actually really thought about making an organization probably in 1995 after the birth of my second daughter. I just didn't know quite how to do it. And at the time also, God was pulling me in different directions, and I really wasn't sure that it was God telling me to do it, because what he was telling me to do was so contrary to my life at the time. He was basically, showing me that I would empower women around the world. And at the time, I was sitting at home with 2 children on welfare. So I was like, I don't know about that one. But it was really at that time in 1995 that I had the vision for True Horizons.
Okay. All right. Now, what constitute a candidate for your program?
Really, we take any young woman from the age of 25 and up. We really look for women where life has gotten in the way, when life happens. I had to start at community college. I had 2 young children at an early age, and I started at Sand Hills Community College and worked my way up. And some people don't get to go away to college. And sometimes it's not even that you want a college degree. You just want better job options. So I always wanted to target the young lady that was like me, the one that struggled, the life got in the way. You had to pivot and turn a couple of times to get where you want to go. So that was my vision and purpose for it.
Awesome. Now, your program has many components to it. One being leadership training, self-awareness, parenting, and entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
So let's start with leadership training. Tell us more about what you do there.
In leadership training, I like to take young women who are interested in, sometimes they may not want to be an entrepreneur, but they want to be able to excel in their area or field of study. So we do a lot of self-assessments to match them up with job and careers that may take them to the level of interest that they're looking for. The unique thing that happened to me as a social worker, I went to school with the idea of being a school social worker, and my whole trajectory changed once I got to UNC Chapel Hill. I had some professors that saw something unique in me, and they were like, Aisha, we think you would be great in management, but we want you to really focus on your clinical skills. So I ended up graduating thinking I'm going to be a therapist doing outpatient therapy, and I immediately got promoted, and I went straight into management. Awesome. So from that experience, I learned a lot of different caveats on how to train young women. And the interest of women is a little different from men. We have to worry about work-life balance. We have to worry about making sure our kids are taken care of and making sure our career doesn't get in the way. So I think that's one of the unique things I'm able to bring to the table in leadership training.
Okay. Now, what about self-awareness?
The self-awareness is I want women to own who they are. I spent a lot of time doing what other people wanted me to do or what they thought I should do. I think part of self-awareness is discovering your unique skills and talents and desires and being able to own that no matter what. Be unapologetically you.
Awesome. All right. Now, tell us about the facet of parenting.
The parenting component comes in. I don't know if everybody knows, I also have a therapy company, which is Creative Concepts Therapeutic Services. And I actually birthed Creative Concepts first, and then I ended up launching True Horizons after. But what I had discovered through my therapy practice is I work with primarily children. And I started asking my parents, I added a question to my intake form that really changed my practice. And I asked them, what can I do for you? And I had women to begin to unload. They began to unload and tell me all of their heart's desires, lost dreams, things they didn't get to accomplish. And I took all of those things and created True Horizons from that.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay. Now tell us about entrepreneurship side.
The entrepreneurship side are for the young ladies who have a strong desire to reach in and not necessarily go the traditional job route, but they just they know it's something different. So we do another assessment skills training. We we do assist some young women who want to go back and take like short courses like CNA, nursing, some of those skills that could really be turned over into an entrepreneurial skill, phlebotomy, things of that nature. The 12-week, 6 to 12-week courses. So we help sponsor young women in those areas as well.
That is great. If you are just tuning in with us, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross on Oak 93.5 WRLY Raleigh. In the building with me today, I have guest Dr. Aisha Jackson and over-the-road driver, female driver, Anita Hayes. And we are currently talking to Dr. Jackson about her company, True Horizons, Inc. Now, you mentioned you had another business there that I did not know about. If I did know about it, I forgot about it. I'm sorry. Tell us a little bit more about that again, if you will.
Creative Concepts is my therapy agency that I started in 2010. I was suddenly laid off from my job after 10 years, unexpectedly. Without something to do, I had a severance package. And I just started praying about God. I applied to several jobs. Nothing came through. I had just taken my oldest daughter to Shaw University and dropped her off and emptied my savings account to make sure she went to college. And I'm sitting here like, I don't have a job. So one day during prayer, God said, it's in your hands. God said, it's in your hands. And I started going through my certifications on everything that I had. And one of the things I really hadn't really explored was early intervention. So I provide therapy through play with children ages 0 to 3 that have behavioral disorders, developmental disorders, autism. And I also do a parenting component to help the parents adjust to the disorders and the diagnoses that their children have.
Okay. Now, are both of these things that you have in one office setting or in different buildings, or how does that work?
I have recently expanded Creative Concepts to Wake County. So we have a contract here with Wake County, and we also have a contract in Sandhills region, which covers 8 catchment areas from Anson County through Hope County, Richmond, Scotland, Moore, Lee, Harnett. So we're pretty vast.
Wow, you're massive.
Yeah, we're massive.
Yeah. Okay, and you posted on your website an annual conference that you have, Dr. Jackson. Tell us about your conference, and I want to say I want to say it's one of the conferences I've been able to experience a couple of years ago, a few years ago. But tell us about your conferences there.
Our annual True Horizons Women's Conference. It was Women's Conference and Brunch till the pandemic came.
Okay.
So we've had to pivot and we've turned virtual during the pandemic. But the premise of the True Horizons Women's Conference and Brunch was to bring women together. It's our annual fundraiser for True Horizons. Currently, we've been operating for 7 years, and we have been solely funded through the community. We have not had grant money or anything of that nature, but our women's conference is our annual fundraising event, and each year we decide on a community initiative that we like to take on. So some of our initiatives in the past have been backpack campaigns for children. We have done homeless events. We have done school uniforms, various things, but since 2020, we have taken on two continuous community initiatives. One is being academic scholarships for young women. And the other one that we just started this past year is our baby blessing boxes that we're just new to and still getting off the ground. But the annual women's conference, we come together, we provide, I think, an educational workshop type format. We started out we're still a faith-based organization, but we shifted a little bit to make it three-dimensional. We wanted to feed the mind, body, and spirit. You know, we didn't want it to be all churchy. We wanted to meet the needs of the community as a whole. So we always have something financial. We always have something educational and something for your spirit.
I was going to say, back when I was able to attend and I was late, I apologize. And I apologize now for not being a part of the ones that you had since then. But I just thought it was fantastic what I did see in the building that you did have. This one particular conference I was able to go to, I mean, I saw authors, entrepreneurs, just guest speakers. There was food.
Yes.
You gave away little gifts. I mean, I thought it was just wonderful and nice. And I just want to say thank you. That was very wonderful for you to do that.
Thank you.
Some years ago, Dr. Jackson, you were faced with a major health crisis.
Yes.
Do you care to share that with us today?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Right after I launched True Horizons in 2016. 3 months later, I was faced with having a tumor of my pituitary gland in the frontal part of my brain. And it left me temporarily blind. I lost my vision for about a month and a half. I had to have massive surgery that required 2 surgical teams, ear, nose, and throat, plastic surgery, and neurology. That was for 3 teams. It happened suddenly. It really took me off my feet. It was a definite trial and test. And I'm just thankful and blessed that I can see, thank God, and that I'm still here.
And beautiful as ever.
Yes. I have no scars. No scars. I have a brand new nose because they had to remove the tumor through my upper lip and through my nose. So you cannot tell, no scars at all.
You cannot tell. And I mean, you that beautiful Aisha that I knew from inside and out. I mean, you know,
you
can't tell it at all, you know. So I just want you to share that to give someone else hope who may be in the same situation now, and just keep your faith in God and
most definitely.
Just keep believing that you will pull through.
Most definitely.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross. I am your host, P. Ross, and we're on Oak 93.5 WRLY Raleigh. We've been chatting with Dr. Aisha Jackson of True Horizons, Inc. and Anita Hayes, over the road or OTR truck driver, lady truck driver. All right. Now, Dr. Jackson, a lot of women often talk about just certain things within their circle of friends, self-awareness, self-esteem, and you've written a book called I Am That Dope Chick. Now, when we say dope, people, we're not talking about the powdery white stuff.
No, we're not.
Okay? Tell us what that inspiration was behind the book.
Dope
That
Chick.
Dope Chick.
I am that dope chick. I have more to launch with that in 2023. It's gonna become a masterclass and a workbook and a series. But DOPE stands for deliberate, observant, persevering, and ever evolving. I am that dope chick. So when people see me, I think sometimes you can get a misconception of people. Think they haven't been through anything. They see the end result of your success and they don't know the trials that go behind it or that's in front of it. And I'm that dope chick is a declaration for women to say, hey, I've been through something. I got something to share. And I want you to see that I am dope in everything that I do. So,
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, something else about you. I was surprised at this one.
What?
Okay, so it's all good, though.
Okay.
All right, so Facebook surfer I am. And I'm seeing this premiere of this documentary called Dumpster Diving.
Yes.
I wanted to go see Dumpster Diving, but I didn't have a chance to because of my busy schedule. A red carpet event was prepared for this, and it looks like all of the best of the best was at this event.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I was surprised to see that you were a part of this event. You were on the silver screen.
Yes, I was.
Tell us a little bit more about you in this documentary, please.
Yeah, I was a little bit. Yeah.
Maybe we should explain what dumpster diving was about. Tell us that first, and then tell us about you on the screen on that special night.
Dumpster Diving is a project that I collaborated on with one of my colleagues and longtime friends, Dr. Terrence Graham. We've been friends for years, and we have talked about various different things. He's also a therapist, and we have shared and gone through some different life events, but he remembered that a testimony that I gave him years ago. Well, he was actually my friend during the time when I was going through a really bad traumatic breakup. It was devastating. Caused me some great deal of harm emotionally, and financially, and spiritually. And I don't know, he just thought about it one day. He said, I just decided that I want to turn this into a movie, a teachable moment. And I said, okay, that's a good thing. But I had no idea that he wanted me to be in it. I'm like, yeah, I'll help you. I'll collaborate. Yeah, So I'm sending him notes and, we're collaborating on the premise of it. And really it's about everyday people who have gone through toxic relationships. We've all had one or two in our lifetime. We may not care to talk about it, but we've all been there. You could have been the toxic person, or, the person you were involved with could have been a toxic person. But what he did that was unique and I think just awesome was he was able to gather a group of professional friends, and we not only shared our story, but we also got an opportunity to teach about what we learned through that relationship. And I also was able to give a professional standpoint from what toxic relationships do to you emotionally.
Is there going to be another screening of that or a showing of that anytime soon?
Yes, he's planning to do 2 more screenings. The locations haven't been announced yet, but I will definitely let you know.
Please, I would love to see it this time. Yeah.
It was phenomenal cast, and Dr. Graham is just I think he's phenomenal with he's going to heal a lot, heal his community through film. I think that's what he's going to do.
So we're going to give Dr. Graham a house applause on your behalf. All right. Anita, we're going back to you.
Okay.
So many of our women in our communities have this woe is me attitude. And today you have shared what you've done. You started one career wasn't happy with that one and went on to another one. So in my book, you're a role model. And
Thank you.
I want to say taking on, just taking on two very different career paths. Mm-hmm. And don't take this as an insulting at your age. We're the same age, okay? So I want to applaud you on that. But what advice do you have for women, young and old, that has this type of attitude? Woe is me, or I'm looking for that sugar daddy to take care of me, or...
Well, it's not about that. It's about what makes you fulfilled. You have to find your passions. A lot of times we get caught up in careers and stuff. Like I said, like I have a son that's really looking at more money than actual what you enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. And he has that right because he doesn't know what he wants to do at this point. And there's no point in just pushing him into a direction where he might not be happy. He has to follow his own path, whatever that path is. And for women, we don't really get a lot of time to do that before we start thinking about families and then once you have a family, what it looks like after they're grown, and once menopause hit, what exactly does that mean for you? For me, it was just a way of just kind of freeing myself from that norm, just being complacent where you are. I'm always been a person that kind of pushes that envelope. So anybody that has that woe is me attitude, is so much out there that you don't have to have it. Everybody has the gift of choice, everybody. And you just have to exercise what that choice is for you.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Dr. Jackson, what is your response to that same question?
I think, as I said before, helping women just to understand who they are. And for me, as a mental health therapist, I always operate from... I think it's time for us, especially in the Black community, we need to unlearn some very toxic learned behaviors. Mm-hmm. And one of those things is that we haven't been taught to explore. And that's why I think what you're doing is so courageous, because that takes guts to say, hey, I'm going to go be a truck driver. I mean, I'm sitting here saying to myself, I'm going to tore up all the cones. But but I think it's time for us as women to think differently, to be relentless in our pursuit of everything God has given us to do, despite what anybody has told you. I think we have so many learned behaviors rooted in us that it's time for us to start unlearning and unpacking our bags and just go for it.
And I think you just have to have that support system around you, because when you have a lot of people that's negative, you definitely cannot listen to that. People are always going to tell you what you should and should not be doing, but they're not there on that daily ride with you. Only person that know you is you know, and when you let other people kind of dictate what you do, you set yourself up to fail anyway.
Yes. Amen.
So a lot of times you just have to step out of your comfort level. And I've always heard it. Once you become uncomfortable, that's when life starts.
That's true.
Wow.
Because when you get out of high school, if you don't leave the area that you're in and pursue something, you're just kind of going to be left back. You're not going to find out what it is. But when you go out there and you try to make it on your own, you find out really the pros and the cons of living or
That's
adulting.
True. Right.
So I applaud anybody that they have a passion to definitely, go for it. I mean, you only have this life once, know, and we all gonna pay that price at the end. And what you do between when you were born and to the day that you pass is up to you, actually.
We're fastly approaching the top of the hour and the end of our show. I want to speak to that, what you just said. But before we do, I want to encourage anyone that has been listening, if they want to call in and say something to Dr. Jackson or Ms. Hayes, feel free to call us at 919-899-9305. Again, 919-899-9305. You have this time. I always tell people who have not left the nest or left home, go out there and try a new city for at least 1 year. If you don't like it, you could always come back.
Exactly.
Just experience something from outside of your normal surroundings, and you'll be amazed at what you see. It may not be something you like, but at least get that experience.
Exactly.
All right. Now, we talked about women, Dr. Jackson. What about men? What's happening with our young adult men in our communities failing or falling away or just choosing a life of crime. What can we do as adults to curb that or change that?
I think for one, we have to understand that men go through some of the same things we go through. Some of them are depressed, some of them have anxiety, and some of them have fear of failure just like we do. And I think as women in our community, I think we should be more supportive instead of punitive. We're quick to tell them what they're going to turn out to be. We don't speak life. We often speak negatively over our young men. We need to speak more life and encourage them in different ways. You know, not necessarily baby them too much, but definitely encourage them. The women figures in the life, my grandmother used to say, we raise our daughters and we baby our sons, coddle our sons.
Okay.
My grandma used to say that all the time. And I used to feel that way at home. I have two brothers, and me and my sister had to do all the cleaning. I'm like, well, this ain't fair. But they have the same thoughts, fears, desires that we have. They just channel them a little differently. They may go after and pursue differently than what we do. But I think we should be supportive as women, especially women. We could be one of the biggest hang-ups for men and cause them to stumble sometimes. So whether you're a sister, mom, or just that friend, just be a little bit more supportive and offer some words of encouragement.
You heard that from the doctor. She said be a little bit more supportive to our men and offer them more words of encouragement. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. We got to practice that as women, okay? Anita, being the mother of a son, respond to that question.
I believe what she said wholeheartedly. I do have a 23-year-old who's had bumps and challenges in his life, and in the beginning, I think for me, you just don't want him to be in a bad way. You don't want him to mess their record up. You don't want him to be hurt. You don't want him to be in jail. You don't want him to move over to the dark side. But as they get older and you start kind of seeing where is this coming from, this place, a lot of them just don't. They just need to talk. They have anxieties, and they are filled with, am I going to fail? Am I going to be a disappointment? And now me and my son, we can actually have long talks, and I can provide. He doesn't need that nurturing. He needs guidance. Right. And the only thing, if he asks me a question, I try to be truthful. But in the beginning, I just didn't want to give him too much information that I thought. But in the end of the day, you really should not lie to your kids. You need to tell them what they're facing. Be honest. Yeah, but at first it was just a little hard, in the beginning. But for me, I think Chase and I have a better relationship as he's becoming a man. And we can talk candidly, about different things. And even though it may, kind of sting me sometimes, but we do have good talks now. And that's what they need, somebody to listen to.
Just to listen.
Awesome. All right. I'm excited to announce that Dr. Jackson's daughters will be on the show, Chat City with P. Ross, on September the 8th. I am really excited.
I'm excited too.
Dr. Jackson, give us a little preview about your lovely young ladies that's going to be coming on the show with me.
I have two beautiful daughters, Miss Ariel Fairley and Miss Azaria Fairley. I personally think they're phenomenal, but I'm a little biased. I think they're phenomenal women of God. They are a true mixture of beauty and brains, and they have expressed to me that they have some entrepreneurial desires as well. So I have, taken some time off this year during the pandemic to help them, boost in their endeavors. So I'm not going to tell too much about what they're going to announce, but it's going to be phenomenal. I think they're going to be, I really think they're going to really be impactful for the millennial generation. I really do.
Great. I can't wait. Anita, the group of friends, 5 friends that you left in Durham, tell us, how do they feel about you now out on the road? Do they call you and see about you and all that stuff?
I have Renee Jackson, Tammy Mills, Sharonda Meadows is both mutual friends of both of you and I, and Shonda Haney, and they call, they text, make sure I'm okay. Misty, just a whole host of folks, and they give so much support. In everything that they do. We celebrate birthdays. We just, we can cry to each other. We can laugh with each other. We can give each other constructive criticism. And that's why I've said you have to have that support because this world is kind of, it can be unkind. And if you don't have that place, I mean, I ain't say you have to have a whole bunch of friends, but if you have one or two, or maybe just one, it doesn't matter. You've done well because you can't get through this life by yourself.
Amen.
You just can't. And I have a lot of good friends, male friends as well. I have a friend that I've known since the 4th grade, Will Quick, and Reginald Lee, and Christopher Bass, and they've all been supportive in my endeavors of doing things, and so again, you have to have that village. Yes. I've always been part of Parks and Rec. With my son doing, football, basketball, and t-ball and things like that. So I knew a lot of my son's friends, even, when they wanted to veer off, they knew that Miss Anita was still in the picture, but again, it takes a village to raise us as people, as good people, and you have to have that base around you.
And I wish we could get back. That's important, Anita, what you said. I wish we could get back to that. Now is, oh, you said this to my child, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, your child was cutting up, okay,
right.
and you weren't there. So I thought if I stepped in, it would be.
And I have let a lot of children stay with me, and I treat them as mine. If you didn't like it, you couldn't let them stay, because I don't want no harm to come to them, but they also need, a safe environment as well. So I've always been that soccer mom type person anyway. So you just can't get through this life by yourself. You just can't.
Fantastic. Amen. And that's true. Dr. Jackson, tell us how we can get in touch with you, please.
You can reach me at ajackson@True Horizons, TRU horizons.org. My number is 910-992-3048.
Okay, awesome. And Anita, what's in store for you in the next coming weeks?
Well, I'm just going to hit the road Tuesday. I'll be here in North Carolina for just a little while, and let's see where this journey takes me.
Awesome. Ladies, it has been a pleasure having you here with me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Chat City with P. Ross. We are now signing off. Check us out again next Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
I ain't never ever been this rich ever. I don't even make all that much dough. Asked my mama for a double, raise her blood pressure. Now she got me working at the donut store.